Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined all the way from New Jersey in the United States by Christina Davis. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I'm awesome. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. And how are you getting on this fine day?
Good, good. Enjoying the cold weather that is now coming in New Jersey. But doing well, doing well.
You get the best of both, don't you? You get nice summers and cold, well, harsh winters, I'd say is maybe the right way of putting it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, winters aren't too bad. But summers are really nice here. So we get, at least get to enjoy that.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us, Christina, who are you? What do you do? And where are you from?
So obviously from New Jersey, I'm a digital nomad coach. So I help female entrepreneurs finally push through their fears and create location independence with their business. So ranging from freelancers, remote workers, online business owners, I'm basically here to help guide them through facing their fears and all the logistics and travel necessities that come with becoming location independent.
Wow, okay. So a digital coach, I mean, this is sort of fairly, well, you tell me, what exactly is a digital coach?
So for a digital nomad, I just work one-on-one with a client. I have a 12-week program that I kind of walk them through to gain them the insight and the knowledge to be able to obtain a life that they've always desired and dreamed of through a travel basis.
So so you would actually actively bring travel into it then, right? So you're
Mhm.
actually so it's actively traveling and working at the same time.
Yes. So people who have an online business already or, work online and have always kind of dreamed of just living in a different country or being a nomad and being able to pick up and travel when they please, I help them obtain that lifestyle.
Cool. And what's the definition then of a nomad?
A nomad is just being able to live life by your own terms on your own time and with where you want to go and what you want to do. So if you work and you want to go and explore Spain for 5 weeks, you're able to pick up and go do that and plant yourself in a new city and experience everything there. And then, in 4 more weeks, if you want to go somewhere else, you could do that. You have the ability to kind of pick up when you want and experience the world at your fingertips.
And that's something you've obviously been able to do yourself, is it?
Yes. So I've spent the past year, a little over a year now, traveling and, bringing my work kind of with me. And obviously, Corona kind of changed things a little bit. But there's many countries now that are open to digital nomads that want to get people back living there. So there's ways to still do it. I'm going to be moving to Bali in a few weeks. I had to come home for a wedding, and then I was here just to spend some time with my family during all these crazy times. But now I'm going to be picking back up and continuing on my journey.
Is it for everyone? I mean, do people like generally traveling and moving, or is it?
I definitely don't think it's for everyone.
Hmm.
You have to have a certain type of personality. For me, traveling is more than just a passion. I think people say you have a bit of a travel bug, but what I believe is like truly a travel gene that you have. Like there's something in you that is more than just I want to go on a vacation for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Everyone wants to go on a vacation, enjoy a holiday, But I think being able to live the nomadic lifestyle, you have to really have a passion for exploring new places. Maybe not having being as rooted. I don't find myself quite as a rooted person. I like to kind of bounce around, experience new cultures, learn from different people, and have a new experience all the time. So I think you definitely have to have that mindset. And if you're a homebody, then maybe being a nomad might not be for you.
That makes a lot of sense. So tell us, what does fire in the belly mean to you then?
For me, it's just a lifestyle that I'm able to network with others who are in the same mindset and want to live the same way, as well as just being able to kind of be my true self. I think that being from where I am, I love my family, I love my friends, and I love people around me, but there's a constant pressure to kind of fit into a mold, constant pressure to climb this corporate America ladder to finally get to success. And then once you have all the success, then you're happy. And I find it to be the complete opposite. I want to be happy and then get success because I think that, they go hand in hand, but I don't think that the money value of success kind of relays to your happiness. So for me, being able to go to Bali and be happy with who I am and where I am, and then have the, financial success with that is something that means more to me than the opposite.
Well, that's a really good way of looking at it. I mean, and do you think is there a gap for you at the moment between your true self and who you are? Is there a gap, or is that something you actively work to keep down?
I think this past year I've really actively worked to kind of figure out who I was and what I wanted to do and who I wanted to help and what that would mean to me. And I think that, during these crazy times, the world went upside down. Things changed. And I think it gave us a lot of time and perspective to kind of figure out who we were and what we really wanted because we had nothing but time. There was nothing else to do but, kind of figure all of this stuff out. So I think this past year, between my travels and then just having this time for myself, I've really been able to dig deep and figure out, what lights that fire in my belly, like what lights that fire and that spark. And I want to live life to that extent. I don't want to ever look back and wonder like what happened if I did that, or wish I would have went that route. Like I want to look back and be like, I did everything I wanted to do, and I'm happy. You might fail sometimes. That's part of life. But at least like I know I'm putting my foot forward and moving towards a dream that is something I want to achieve and not based on someone else's ideals.
So I have to ask the question then, who is
Mhm.
Christina?
I am a super adventurous, spontaneous person who really just looks at life and wants to laugh. Like, I want to have fun, regardless of ridiculous times. I've always kind of been the person where my friends and family have been like, how are you not upset this is happening? And I'm just like, literally laughing. I've been sadly deported from a country before during my travels from a visa issue and had my passport taken, didn't know what the hell was going on. And I called my family just to let them know, and they were like freaking out, like, "Are you okay?" And I was just laughing now. What else can I do besides laugh at the moments that are ridiculous in life? Because otherwise, it's just too stressful, and I don't want to be that person. I want to be someone who just brings my own light to my life and also lights other people's. So, having that adventurous, spontaneous, and bubbly person, I think, is important to me.
What does adventure look like to you then? I mean, what do you classify it as?
Adventure is just new experiences, really. It doesn't have to be, skydiving. It doesn't have to be something crazy. For me, it could just be going to a new beach and sitting down and just experiencing the people around me, watching. I love to people watch. I love to go to places and just watch everyone around me and watch how they're enjoying life, seeing what's going on, and seeing how just the human race is as a whole, we're all so different, as we talked before. And I think being able to appreciate everything around you is so important. So whether it's going to a new cafe and meeting new people, or sitting on the beach and just embracing the beauty that the earth has to behold from us, I think adventure is just really putting yourself in new situations and experiencing all that the world kind of has to offer for us.
I mean, where do you sit then in the risk category? I mean, are you sort of you're a go crazy, jump off the building type of a girl, or are you sort of more connect to the earth?
um, I would say I'm probably a little bit more of a risk taker. I'm definitely not one to, go full force on the crazy things, but I think there's a little part of each of us that kind of like wants to have that like moment of adrenaline with things. So I think that I don't per se seek adrenaline in everything I do, but I think that there's value in having those moments that, can kind of be risk taking because it puts you outside of your comfort zone. And I think when you're outside of your comfort zone, just like when you're traveling, a lot of good things can happen from it.
It's that dopamine kick, isn't it? Really, it's that sort of
Mhm.
it's,
Yep.
too much and it feels risky and dangerous, and just enough, but it feels just right. It's
Exactly.
we all look for our kicks in some shape or form. So
Mhm.
that's cool. So I mean, what's your core values then? What stands out for you?
I think my core values is authenticity, like
Mm,
really being true to yourself. Because I think, as I said, my whole mission is kind of figuring out and defining your own why this makes you happy, why this goal or dream is so important to you, and why it means so much to who you are as a person and what you want to accomplish. So
mm,
I think being authentic is really something I truly value because I don't think that enough people are have the capability or feel the ability to be 100% themselves. I think we kind of feel this pressure from society a lot of times to fit into the life that we're told we should live, go to school, get a good job, work hard, keep your head down. If you grind and work hard, it'll all work out for you. And I don't think that's really true. I think it can be true. Some people absolutely live that life and they're happy with it and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think some people might want a different lifestyle, and being authentic to who that is what's going to lead you to being happy at the end of the day. Because as morbid as it sounds, we're all going to die at some point. And if you look back and you're happy with the life you live, then what else does it matter? It doesn't matter what anyone else had to say about you or the choices you made. If they're authentic to you, then that's, kind of what our whole life purpose is, I believe.
That's so true. I mean, we're all, I was going to say we're all on the fast track to death, but we're hopefully not, it's,
Yeah.
but it's, well, I was going to say it's nothing like death and taxes, but, I think probably death is the only thing that's truly certain, really.
hmm
But that's refreshing. I mean, I suppose, why authenticity though? Why does that stand out for you?
I think for a long time in my life, I was always a little bit different. I always had different dreams, different goals, but I found myself severely pressured by just what was I felt was needed from me to become someone and be someone who was a strong pillar of society. And not saying that I'm not now, but my I grew up and wanted to be a doctor, and I thought that I wanted to be a doctor because it was someone who people respected, people looked up to, and someone who was looked upon as successful. Regardless of what they did, they had success. And I think I've always strived for that success. My mom's a single mom, and I watched her work so hard, and I think that it gave me a really great avenue towards what I want to accomplish. But it also kind of made me get lost into forcing myself so far into becoming this successful person. And what, United States, we're growing up in a certain way, and we work to live. That's it. Like we we just work so hard all the time. And I've had friends when we were out of school and working, who you'd be like, oh, I worked 70 hours this week. And they're like, oh, I worked 90. And I'm like, this isn't a competition I want to win. Like, it's always like one up of who's worked harder or what I've done or they've done to become more successful or, grinded harder. And I found myself getting lost in that. And I didn't like trying to, accomplish something based on what the structure is of who I should be. So I think that living towards your own truth is something that becomes scary for people. When you have an idea that's different than everyone else or a lifestyle that might be different, I think it starts to scare people and make them nervous about what others would think when you come out and say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And once you face that fear and you kind of hit that wall of it's actually not that scary once you kind of put it out there and people start coming back to you and be like, oh my God, that's great. I think you start to really get that kind of spark to be like, who I want to be is real and people do respect it. But I have to take the step to actually be myself and not worry what people think to then kind of get that feedback and truly understand that being authentic is something people appreciate once you kind of put yourself out there. But I think it scares a lot of people to do that first.
It is. I mean, that's a control thing, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're bucking the trend, you're stepping away from normality as such. I'm sure people are
Mm-hmm.
sort of going, yeah, she's kind of lost it, and it's like they
Yep.
mean they mean well, they care for you, but it's just like you step out of the normal trench, and suddenly you're yeah, you're different, right?
hmm And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the world spins because we are all different.
Mm.
If we all had the same job and all lived the same way, I don't even know what type of life that would be. Like, everyone has a role in this world, and everyone has a way that they are supposed to serve, to others and to the world back. And I think that finding the way to serve the world properly in the way that makes you most happy is really our whole purpose in life.
Mm. Makes sense. Yeah, no, it's so true. It's it is that sort of. I mean, is there any part of actually being a bit different? I mean, does that serve you in terms of and I mean this respectfully. I mean, does it
Mhm.
that in itself attract attention? If someone's being different, it actually it attracts attention. People trying to almost help you or connect to you for that very reason, or do you it's is it a sort of a connection want, or is it a is it genuine? I don't know if I explained that properly, but
I think I'm a little confused, but
yeah, I think it's more. I'm sometimes. When people sort of say, I just want to be on my own, but I'll be sitting over here if you want to come and come and speak to me. Do you know the way?
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm just wondering, is you're saying, well, is it sort of being different? Is it being different because you genuinely want to, and it's just seeing the world through different eyes, or is there a cry or a connection there for something else?
I think it's a genuine want to just be who I am, and I think that everyone is grown up in different places, and that's, the beauty of it all. Where I'm from, there's not many people who do what I do or travel like I have, and I've been doing this traveling thing for over 6 years now of just kind of picking up and going somewhere for a few months and then coming back and kind of figure out my life, and I've always been the person who pushed my vacation days when I worked in corporate America as much as I could, finding loopholes to bank holidays, doing whatever I could because I found myself to be the true happiest version of myself when I was just exploring and meeting new people. And I think I really strive to learn from others. I think it's such an amazing opportunity we have to sit down with someone from a completely different walk of life and learn how they grew up, what made them, their morals, their values, their culture, what drove them to be the person they are today. So I think that in the value of being different, it's the fact that I want to give value to someone else in the fact of how I was, how I lived my life so far and what I have to offer, as well as attracting those who are completely different to learn from them. I think the only way to truly like serve the ones around us is to learn from others who've either done better than us or done different or completely left field of what we do because it can bring perspective that we aren't used to getting. And I think that's why travel also means so much to me is because you kind of get this completely different perspective of people's lives, whether it makes you appreciate where you're from. When I've traveled to other countries that are completely impoverished and you meet people who are freaking happy, like they are the happiest people ever and they don't have a lot. And it makes you think back to like what are your core values and what makes you happy in yourself. And I think kind of learning from your travels and people around you kind of helps mold you into who you are being different. And, I can give value to someone else and they can give value to me. And I think that's kind of what my whole mission is just to help people understand that there is so much out in this world to learn from and so many freaking cool people. And you can just grow as a human if you're able to do that. And I think being nomadic allows you the ability to kind of pick up and go learn from others, pick up and go learn a new culture, new language. There's so much beauty in learning from others around us. And the world is massive. There's 196 countries. Like there's so much that we can pick up from others. And I think that's kind of where my value in being authentic and being different is like be true to who you are because you have so much to offer others and you have so much to learn from others. So if you can truly be yourself, then you are actually giving value back to anyone who's around you.
Mm. No, it's very, very true. I mean, where have you been anywhere yet that's really sort of really connected to you and really sort of felt like home? Or is that an ongoing process?
I think it's an ongoing process. I think different parts of my life, I've lived in different places and it's connected to me with where I am then. I think different places have different meanings for me. I spent some time in Ecuador a couple of years ago, and that was probably one of the biggest moments of just realizing that simplicity can mean happiness. These people were just the happiest, most inviting, group of people I've ever met. And there was a language barrier for sure. I can speak a little Spanish, but only get me by so much. But they're just so happy to share their culture with people. And that was a point where I started to realize that, you know, living this life of working corporate America and striving to have the nicest new car or the next biggest apartment wouldn't give me the same happiness that those people had. And theirs might be different than mine, but that like true core value of happiness inside themselves and, how their family values and friend values and just waking up every day and like smiling was huge to them. It kind of just imprinted on me that there's all these different places these people living and they don't know better sometimes. They don't know what else is out there. They don't know how, we can live in United States sometimes. But it's being able to value that I have the opportunity to, live the way I do and experience these new cultures. Um, so it's different depending on where I've been. Um, Bali has always kind of held a little place to me. This will be my third time now going back, and it is just full of people with life and adventure. There's a huge expat community there, um, from the UK to America to Australia to the EU, all over. There's people who live there and decide to live there, and I think there's value in people from all over the world wanting to pick this place and kind of set up home. Um, it's in a country where the people are beautiful, the country is beautiful. So I think that also has a little piece of me, which is why I'm returning back for a few months. So I think it depends on the timing and, you know, what each place meant to me.
What does make you happy then?
I think making true connections really makes me happy, like
Mm.
experiencing life with others. Some of my best friends I've met traveling who we spent 2 weeks together. But you just like genuinely connect with people. And I think when you're traveling, you get past all of the bullshit quite quick. It's not like, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do for work? Oh, that's wonderful. It's like, hey, I'm Christina. What's up? Where are you from? Like, where have you been? Like, let's talk about our travels. Let's talk about who you are, what you've experienced. And I think you kind of go straight into learning about that person. You go straight into that connection when you travel because you only have this short amount of time that you might be spending with someone. It might be 2 days, it might be 2 hours. But regardless of what it is, like you are cutting past all of that and you are really just making connection with people. And I think that makes me like so happy is just to connect with people from all over the world and to experiencing things from going to a place and trying some weird new local food together or going on a hike and like seeing this crazy sunrise, whether no matter what it is, like the experience you're sharing with somebody else who, you've just met or what it may be is something that I think kind of just like really makes me happy and that whole adventure side of it.
It's a great way of looking at it, not as you say, the adventure and the sort of seeing new things and trying new things, is that is always great. Tell me this, what's fun words? What are words that stand out for you? I mean, you talked about truth, you talked about authenticity and
Mhm.
connection there. Is there any words that really sort of mean a lot to you or
Um, I would say for me, um, I mean, exploring is huge for me.
mm,
Adventure exploring, confidence. I think confidence plays a huge role into who you are because when you're confident with what you have and what you have to offer people, it kind of starts to radiate. Um, and kind of just honestly like laughter. Like laughter means so much to me. I just want to wake up every day laughing. Like I want to wake up every day and just have moments that, bring a smile to my face. And I think that that's really important. So I think just kind of living this happy, joyful life that is authentic to who I am and just explore. Like I said, there's so much in this world to see and there's so many good people to meet that that's really just kind of where my whole purpose I think brings down to.
what's your superpower then? Do you have one?
I would love to have many superpowers, but I truly think that my superpower might just be the ability to meet people and make them comfortable. I think I do a good job when I meet people traveling to where I have a personality that's inviting. I have a personality that is non-judgmental. I want to listen to everyone's opinions and everyone's thoughts. And I don't want to really bombard them with my own per se, because I think that even if it's something I completely disagree with, and that's especially common in the United States, like there's a lot I don't agree with people. Um, but it's learning from them. And I think that I learned that a while ago when I started listening to the London Real podcast. He interviews everyone with an objective to not judge, to not give their own opinion, but to learn and, interviews people who are, controversial at times. But I think that there is an insight we can learn from people. And I think by being open and being non-judgmental and kind of inviting gives people the space to feel comfortable to, explain themselves or just tell you who they are, what they believe, and then kind of learn from them and grow and make these connections of people who you might not have ever really thought you would. But I believe every person has good in them, regardless, of what's going on. Obviously, there's some extreme cases that, people might not, but everyone has a piece of them that's good. And we can learn from all of those. So I think it's wonderful to be able to invite people in and connect to them and have them feel safe and comfortable with like being who they are truly.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it is a true superpower to be able to, I think as humans we say, oh, well, I don't judge or I don't, preempt or have
Mhm.
opinions. It's like, okay, let's just let's
I
just
definitely
test
have
it.
opinions for sure.
Sure.
But I think it's being able to sit back with that and maybe take your opinion and not speak it at the beginning. Like let them fully just explain themselves. I think that we all are so different and we have all different opinions, but I think a lot of the time humans have gotten lost, and I find this very true globally. I think that we have a tendency to listen only to respond. We don't have a tendency to listen to absorb. And I think that's the difference that people need to have is like, you don't want to listen thinking for what am I going to say next? Or how am I going to combat what they're going to say? You want to listen, just take in everything that they're saying because that's all people really want is someone to listen to them, someone to be open and actually hear what they have to say. And I think sometimes that gets lost in translation. And, people feel like to have a conversation, you had to have this back and forth. You'd be ready to talk to somebody and say something next. And I don't think that's true. I think if you really just took in what people have to say to you and listened for a moment, you might learn more than you expect. And I think I try and take that into my life with traveling is when I meet someone, like they might off the bat on paper not be someone who I would particularly, you know, agree with, but it's really just breaking that down and kind of absorbing who they are and not being ready on the return with who I am or what I believe or whatnot. That's when you truly find the value and connection because you can really understand people.
Do you feel heard? Do you feel seen?
I think I struggle with that sometimes. I feel like when I'm traveling and when I'm around those type of people, um, I feel a lot more heard and seen because I think a lot more people are open to hearing it. I think that sometimes when I'm in my home bubble, um, people want to hear, but they want to hear for a limited amount of time. Like they say, sometimes when you tell a story, you really only have 60 seconds of someone's attention before you lose it. Um, and I think that sometimes when you're in the position of someone else who's in the same, boat as you or traveling or doing whatever, you give each other a little more time. Whereas sometimes when I'm home, I feel like I give people snippets of what I'm doing or where I'm going because it doesn't align with their life. So it's not something that really like interests them or per se they're not really open to. So they'll listen to you and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." But then it's like there's not a lot more in depth there to go into. So I think sometimes I do struggle with being heard and seen. And I think that's why I am so passionate about living a life that, you know, brings me value and happiness because we all want to be seen and heard. Everyone wants someone to listen to them. So I think finding those places and communities that allow you to do so helps a lot.
What happens if you're not heard?
I think it kind of just like it becomes that game in your head with you wonder if you're enough or you're doing something, wrong, or it kind of is that like strike to your confidence. And I
Hmm.
think that the only way to combat that is to remember that you're living life for yourself. You're living a life to your truth and knowing that everyone's not going to agree with you. Everyone's not going to want to listen to you. That's just a part of life. But if you can continue on that path of just like being yourself and being confident in who you are, then you can offer a lot more and not have to worry about the strikes or confidence that you might get when people just don't want to listen. And that's fine. Not everyone wants to listen to me ramble on and talk. And it might not sing true to what they really are interested in.
Hmm.
But knowing that there's other people out there who do want to listen. Um, and even sometimes when you get 30 seconds of someone's time, they might not seem like they're really hearing what you have to say, but deep down you might have like struck a nerve or said something that they'll always remember you saying, something that kind of resonated with them. They might not outwardly tell you that, but knowing that you might have a small impact on people, even if it's a short amount of time, I think is something to keep you going, to know like just be yourself, because the world needs you. They don't need another, clone of someone else.
And there was something you mentioned there and earlier on as
Mhm.
well. I mean, you talked about confidence. That seems to be something that
Mhm.
resonates pretty strongly with you. Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that being confident is something that you takes time.
Mm,
You have to grow into. And I think that I struggled a while, especially when I was working and in corporate America and I was confident in my job and I was confident in what I had to offer when it came down to my status or my financial status. By 25, I was running my own team. I was making killer money. I had a job a lot of people wanted to have, but there was like this empty pit in me that was like, this just still isn't enough. Like, it's still not there. So I think that I lacked this confidence in being who I truly like wanted to be. And I think that I struggle to tell people like, I want to go change my life. I want to, do this digital nomad thing. I want to bring my life abroad. I want to kind of, bop around wherever I please and not have a 5-year plan on what I'm going to do. Like, and I think I struggled with that for a while. And it wasn't until I had this moment where I was coming home from a vacation that I spent in Greece with my friends, and I used all my vacation days. And I was on my way home, and on the flight, I just started crying. Like I was like, holy crap, I'm going back again to work another year to get 2 more weeks to do this again. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I just can't, I couldn't imagine returning back to something that made my stomach sink, just being like, ugh, like I have to go back. Like, I don't want to wake up and do this again. And it was in that exact moment that I kind of realized, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing something that doesn't make you happy? And my mom said to me for years, and I don't know why, I just never really let it ring true. She's like, why do I think this make you happy? Like, you have a life to live. It might be short, it might be long. You don't know, but like, why do anything that doesn't make you happy? And when I had that moment of just like, oh crap, like, what am I doing? It was really that moment that her like, what she said to me actually started to really resonate, and I was like, "It doesn't make me happy." Like, it makes me happy on paper. I had that job, that wonderful job. I was making more than many adults twice my age, but it didn't matter, and I thought about it, and I came home, and I was talking to my family, and I was like, "I need to quit my job, like, I need to do this," and I like, they always knew I kinda had this dream, but it wasn't until that point that I was like, this has to happen. Like, I've gotta do it." And my mom asked me a question, and it was something that really started to resonate with me, and she was like, "If you quit and your boss offered you double your salary right now, would you take it?" And I was like, "No, I wouldn't." Because at that point, the money didn't matter. I knew that the money wasn't bringing me happiness. It was the life that I wanted to live that would bring me happiness, being free, being myself, exploring, and not feeling like I had to be in this box of a human was what really kind of ignited that fire. And so I think being when I started to realize that that was what was really going to make me happy, and I had to be confident in who I was and what I wanted to accomplish, because when I went to go tell my boss and I went to go tell all my coworkers I was leaving and doing this, it is a big like, oh God moment. Like, what are they going to say? But I realized that when I was confident, I spoke to my truth, and I wasn't having this wavering feeling when I was just telling them what actually made me happy. They all were so happy for me, and they were like, "Not gonna lie, we're not like completely shocked that you're doing this." They're like, "You lit up every single time that you ever talked about your trips. Every time you came back, you were always smiling." And that was the moments they saw me the happiest. So they were like, "Go and do that." And with that, I started to feel more confidence and started to kind of hone into who I really wanted to be and what was important to me. And I think I solo traveled for 6 months, kind of just bouncing around Southeast Asia. And when you're by yourself all the time, obviously you meet people and you're never really like by yourself, but there are moments where you're lonely, like because you are in a new country, you're in a new place. You can meet new people and you'll have new friends, but you're truly on your own. Um, And I think in those moments is when you really start to grow and you're like, I don't have to be anyone I don't want to be. I can be like 100% myself because this person doesn't even know me. They don't know anything about my past. So like anything I offer at this point is just me. And they're either going to like it or they don't. Like, and I think in those moments is when I really started to become like confident in who I was and who I had to offer because I didn't have to, you know, put out this, I did this great job, I did whatever, this is me, I live in this apartment in New York or doing whatever. Like it was like, hey, I have a, I have my possessions with me. I'm traveling through this country. I'm experiencing a new culture. Like me, don't like me. And that's really it. And I found that when I started to be really confident in who I was, more people responded well to me. More people wanted to get to know me or, be friendly. I think when you bring that vibrance to life and who you are outside to other people, you kind of start to attract a lot more than you would when you're kind of trying to fit into a mold because I feel like people talk you have auras around you where you have like a light around you. I think it's just so much more vibrant when you are just you. So I think confidence plays a big role into how I've kind of evolved as a person, especially over this past like year and a half.
Mm. Wow, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And
Of course.
what do you find the most attractive quality in other people? I mean, what do you find you're naturally attracted to?
I think I'm naturally attracted to people who don't really like, not I don't say judge, but don't have like a hardcore opinion they kind of put out to the world. Not that opinions are wrong in any sense. We all have opinions about life, but I think that when you can truly experience someone else and what they have to offer people and not be judgmental on who they are and just open is kind of the people I find myself most drawn to. People who want to, also just adventurous, like want to go do something out of the norm or go, go hike up a mountain in Jersey. Who cares? Go, do Machu Picchu in Peru. They have this like zest for life. And I think that's something that I kind of like find in other people that I value a lot. Is just that zest to like learn, be open, and experience everything that the world has for us.
I'm curious as you're speaking there. I mean, is there
Mhm,
when you talk about a zest for life, I mean,
mhm,
is that passion led? Is that searching led, or is that experience led? I mean, how do you tell the difference? Because I mean, searching potentially has a bit of a twisted connotation to it, doesn't it? Right?
mhm.
So
Yeah,
you're seeking something, or is it you're just there? You just are, and I don't know. Does that make any sense?
yeah. I think it's a combo. I think it's a passion. Like you have this passion for new experiences. You have this passion to um, have these stories. Like I think we can rewrite our story 10,000 times over. It doesn't have to be one continuous, chapter. We can rewrite things 1,000 times if we want to. And I think having all these stories, like one of my favorite things to do when I talk to people and they ask about my travels is, tell some great stories. And I think it could be, fascinating. It could be small, but these little pieces are like memory blocks inside of us, and things that we can back on and, smile, laugh, cry. Who knows what it's for? But it's like these little pieces that we can add to our story. And I think that that's where the passion comes for. And I think you also search for an adventure. You're searching for something that is outside of your norm that might like make you uncomfortable at first, whether it's, bungee jumping or walking a very old, skinny bridge, like in a foreign country that you might think is going to break, but like you are going through these things. And I think as you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you kind of grow exponentially. So I think it's like this search in sense of a passion that you want to like just go have all these moments and these stories to share with people and also just like pushing yourself um with that like zest for life and what you're searching for in all these adventures is just pushing yourself to see like what can you accomplish, like can you face your fears? Can you get over that fear of the heights, just to say like you were able to bungee jump in South Africa, one of the top bungee jumps in the world. Like there's all these moments I think that you can gain with that like zest for life. And it doesn't have to be, as extreme. It could just be going somewhere new and trying a new food that's really strange in a different country. It's just experiencing those moments and just racking up all those moments in your head in these little like, memory boxes that you can just look back on and, just enjoy.
I mean, on that, are you aware of all the gifts within inside you? I mean, is that something that's an ongoing evolution process, or are you where are you at in your journey? I suppose is my question.
I think I'm at a really good point in my journey right now.
Okay.
I've done a lot of self reflection over the past year, to kind of just really hone true on like what I want. And I think that I've really figured it out now. Um, and that is amazing in itself. And I think that now my journey has really just begun. I've had all these great experiences in the past, but knowing who I am and what I have to offer and like the value I have and like what I want to do to help other women is like something that just like makes me so passionate that now I believe my journey has just begun. Like my journey to help do my purpose here to serve back has just begun. So I think it's a really exciting time for me. Um, I went through everything I went through and got to where I am now and became the person who I am. And now it's just really taking the ride to give this all back to other people.
No, that's great. It's a great way to be, and as you say that, well, I mean, COVID's done different things for different people, so to use that as a an opportunity to look in the mirror can be quite something as well. It takes strength and takes wisdom to do that.
100%. I think that COVID really threw a wrench in a lot of people's plans, but it was, you couldn't change it. We couldn't erase
Mm.
COVID. We couldn't go back. So it's either you wallow in what you've lost or you turn it and see what you can gain. And I think that's another huge lesson that I've learned is that, when things are going to go wrong, things are going to go wrong in your life at some point. Things are going to turn upside down, but it's how you react to that situation and how you're able to adapt that is your greatest strength. Because if you can sit there and be like, I took my time during quarantine and I accomplished all this stuff and I feel great. And like looking back now, yeah, Corona like really ended a lot of my travels at the time and kind of sent me home. I didn't really have a choice. And I can either look back at that and be sad and be upset, or I can look back and be grateful of what I've accomplished. And now I kind of look at 2020 as this year of greatness, like this year that I was able to really hone in on what I want and make 2021 even like that much better because I was able to grow so much during this year. So I think being able to adapt to situations, and I think I learned that in travel as well, your resilience and your adaptability is something you have to have, especially as like a nomad, especially when you're traveling long term. So I think taking those lessons I learned and just applying it in a greater sense now. I mean, COVID quarantine was huge. A lot of countries are going back into quarantine now. So I think that it's difficult and it's hard and no one wants to do it, but you have this time to really sit down. Like you have time. There's, there's nothing else to do but time. So taking that and actually like using it beneficially is the only way that this year won't become a burden on you.
How do you get on with yourself? Do you like yourself? Do you love yourself?
Yes, I love myself now. I just feel like I'm living a life that I'm supposed to. I'm being who I'm supposed to. And there are people who think what I'm doing is crazy. And that's fine. And good on them. But at the end of the day, I always tell myself when I wake up, if I am happy and I wake up with a smile on my face and that's what matters because in 20 years, those people who might, be like, oh my God, she's doing this, or look what she just posted online, or she's moving here. Like, what does their opinion matter in 20 years? It doesn't. Like, as long as you're happy, that's really what it comes down to. And I think that living your truth is something that makes you happy.
Mm.
And being able to know that I'm waking up every day with a purpose to achieve a higher goal and dream, that is something that really just like lights that fire in my soul, makes me so happy and, loves everything that I'm doing. And it's a great feeling. It really is.
Beautiful. I love the passion you talk about there, as you say, living your truth. There's so
Mhm.
much to that. Was there a turning point that actually came into play and sort of, the penny dropped, if you like, that for you that actually all happened?
Yeah, so I think that I've really started to learn about myself last year when I took the trip and did the time spending in Asia, the months on end. That was when I really started to like figure out who I was, because I was no longer doing this vacation and going back to life and like living these two separate lives of like who I was and who I wanted to be on like while I was traveling and then going back to work and like trying to find the compromise between the two. When I was traveling, I was just like being authentically me because there was no reason not to be. And I think I started to grow a lot in that. But I think that during these past few weeks, when I was kind of situated back in New Jersey, it was like the true turning point of being like, I've experienced all this. I know who I am. Now I need to figure out what I want to do to put that out into the world. And I think that I've always kind of helped people in my network figure out like how they can go live a nomadic life, how they can go take their business elsewhere. But I've never done it on a grander scale. So I think kind of digging deep and figuring out that this is really what I want to do. Like I loved helping my friends through my network kind of live this life and get that passion. And so now realizing that I could do that, I figured out who I am and what I want. And now I've come to terms with what my goal is and what my passion is and putting it all together into one. And that the past few weeks, like, have really been the pivot for that because you can be happy in who you are. But I think when you add that extra part of like happy with what you're doing and the passion to do it, it's like this full, you're like a force, I think, at that point, because you have so much to offer and give and you know exactly what that is. So I think there's, so much that comes with that that is um, just amazing, really.
It's, I suppose, I mean, and that's the thing is, do you, you're, are you living in your full potential? And, do you think fully stretched your wings, or are you just getting going?
I think I'm just getting going, really. I think that for me, there is so much that I want to accomplish, and there's so much that I want to help other people do. So I think that right now, like, I'm in one of those points where like I have my program and I'm like ready for that, but my mind is going freaking 10 miles an hour because 10 billion miles an hour because there's so much else I want to do. Like there's so many different avenues I know that I could help. And one of my biggest things like growing up is I've done a lot of like mission trips and things like that when I was younger. And I want to be able to take like everything that I do with my program and everything that I'm able to accomplish and help other people on the scale of one to one living this lifestyle and also helping people in these other countries that could really use the value that we have to offer when we have a financial ability to give back to those people. I think that there is no better feeling than when you can help people take a step forward in their life. If you can help people, you know, have food on the table, no matter what it is, like there's so much I want to do on a basis of helping people grow, like as a human in their business and everything. And then I also just want to give back to the world. So I think that knowing that my passion and my story and what I have to offer now can help do both is something that really just makes me happy knowing that I can make a small impact on people or the world or whatever it may be, that what I'm doing is, something that accomplishes my goals in life.
Hmm. Do you think people get you?
I think people do. I think I'm confusing at first because I think that I have this whole like life of what I want to be successful and what I want to do. And then I also have this like very much nomadic traveler type. And I think that sometimes they get lost between the two, and people don't think that you can, go pick up and travel these countries and do all this stuff in impoverished zones and still be successful and have this business. And I think that um, sometimes they separate them, but I think that there's so much strength in realizing that a digital nomad is not somebody who just puts on a backpack and goes through these little countries. Like a digital nomad can be anyone from someone who works online and wants to sit in Barcelona and live there for a few months to someone who wants to live online and live in Bali, or someone who wants to just pick up in the United States and go to a different state and live somewhere different. Like there is so much to offer in the digital nomad space that I think people sometimes outside of it get lost in thinking it's just like this wanderlust seeker type person who just is a free spirit and, you know, does all these crazy things, but you can have both within the same realm and have your success and still see the world the way you want to see it.
Hmm. Isn't it funny how, and as you say, even just what you've said there, is seeing the world how you want to see it, and that's a choice, right? You can see
Mhm.
opportunity, you can see, ideas, potential, all the rest, or you can see it for, you know, mm, it could be restriction, sort of, yeah, lack of choice. It could be, so much, right? It's
Mhm.
just that is a choice. Choice is a big thing here.
100%. And I think we have a choice every day to choose to work towards happiness, really. I think sometimes people get lost in the sense of when people say you can choose to be happy. And I don't think that's necessarily always true. I think people do struggle with different aspects, but I think we can choose to smile for sure, choose to smile in small moments. And I think it can really just impact, your whole day and your whole outlook. And you can choose to see the good in the world and you could choose to see the good in the country. There's countries that I've been to that people are like, why would you want to go there? Like, I don't understand, or like it's dirty, or there's bad things going on. I'm like, you choose to see that. You choose to see all those negative things. I choose to see a beautiful country with beautiful people who are good, who don't want to steal from me, who don't want to rob me. I think that a lot of people who don't travel have that like notion in their head that people are just out to get them. And I think that when you kind of break it down, you start to realize there are freaking good, good, good people in the world who want to help you, people who don't have much and would take you in and let you sleep on their bed, like because they want you to be in their home and feel safe. Like there are so many people out there who are good. And I think that people may call it a flaw. I find it to be a positivity in me, but I look for the good in every situation. I don't go into a place thinking these people are bad and something's going to happen to me. I don't go into a place or a business opportunity thinking someone's trying to like gain something from me and all that's all it is. I want to give to other people and I want to experience those things and just have the notion that there is good to people. And yeah, obviously at some point during your travels, things are going to happen. There's not good people everywhere. But I think if we choose to look at new opportunities as a good thing and new opportunities or new places as a wonderful new door to be opened, then we have a lot more to gain than we do if we look at a place with that instant like negativity.
So true. It's down to choice, and yeah, it's a lot there. What was mini Christina like?
I was definitely a little like quieter. I was the girl growing up who honestly like was in school, never got in trouble, was always followed the rules, never wanted to break them. I really never got in trouble with my family, my parents, my teachers, like, and I think that I was kind of like a black sheep in the sense of my family. My cousins and everyone were crazy, wild. They'd be like, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And I would just like, I wanted to stay in my bubble. And I think that that is something that since I grew up that way, when I got older, I realized like I don't want to like kind of be in that bubble. Like I might always be different because I have different views and how I view the world and how I see myself, but like I don't want to be so concerned with other people and what they think of me or what I'm doing. So I think that growing up that way, um, was good as a kid. I had a very structured view on how I need to accomplish things, but I think as I got older and experienced more, I realized that that structure wasn't really necessary, and that, you have if you're brought up or if you're around people who teach you good values and good morals, then, the rest is okay because you're at your core, you're, good. So I think that I was much more structured when I was little, compared to now where I believe that structure is unnecessary because we can build our own. There is no one fits all kind of structure of how your life should be. You build it the way you want it, and then that's kind of, the way you navigate your own life.
Mm, absolutely. What's your earliest conscious memory?
Earliest conscious memory. Um, ooh. I mean, I remember I have a lot of memories when I was younger. Just I had a big family. There was like 15 of us grandkids all around the same like age, pretty much.
Well,
So a lot of my memories are just being with my family, um, being a young kid, running around, big holidays with, the 40 plus people and all the little kids, and just kind of always having that family value. And I think that's important to me. Although I, tend to travel and move around a lot, my family means a lot to me. And so I think a lot of my memories kind of circle back to all of my family times. And whether it was, our Easter egg hunt with 15 kids running around crazy and like doing everything together, or Christmases and all of that, like they all hold a really big value in my life because I think that family and the people important to you are something that you need to hold high in your life. And I want to make sure my family, is happy, and I want to make sure that success includes them in it. So I think most of my memories all kind of stem back to just being a young kid with all of my cousins and all my family.
that's beautiful. I mean, it is interesting what you were saying there in terms of, you know, being, having cherishing that family connection, but yet
Mhm.
also having the strength to be, to be apart as well. I mean, and for some people, kind of going, well, if you liked us, you wouldn't leave. But it's kind of going, well, actually, it's the opposite, right?
Yeah, I think it is the opposite. I don't think it has to go like one or the other. I think
Mm.
that when you do that, you're kind of sacrificing one value versus yourself. So I think I can be like, I value my family and I value that time so much. Um, and just because I might be, away for a little bit of time doesn't mean that I've lost sight of any parts of my relationship. Like I still work on, keeping those up with my family and valuing those. So I think you can definitely have both. And I think when your family supports you, they understand it and they are happy for you. My family's happy for me. And, they'll come visit me in the world when, like, wherever I am when they get a chance. And that's beautiful. I mean, people move away from home now. They, move away from their family maybe states away, and they're doing that because it's the life they want to live. So that's a small sense, but in the same exact light, you want to live life you want to live. It might just not be in the same country.
No, so it is so true, and it's. I mean, that says a lot about your family too, right? That you can have that confidence, have that support structure to be able to always be welcomed home, but also allow you to free, to travel and to go. So I mean, that's speaks volumes about your upbringing. Is that a fair statement?
110%. My family, I feel like I created an idea in my head when I was younger that I had to follow this structure. And then if I didn't, I would disappoint people. And I think when I actually decided to take the time to really tell them what I wanted, I started to realize that they just wanted me to be happy. There was no picture perfect me in their head. Their picture perfect me was exactly who I was. It was just me following my truth. And like I said, my mom always said, don't do something that doesn't make you happy. And I think that I got lost in everyone else telling me that I need to like live a certain way to be happy. And if I would just, like, looking back, if I would have been like, just listen to them, like, do what makes you happy. And I did essentially now. But having their support, just being like, you know, your dreams are different than ours, but we're happy for you and we're proud of you. And we can't wait to see where your journey takes you is a support system that means a lot, I think, to a lot of people. But I think sometimes we get lost in thinking that our family will judge us for being different. But I think that's the complete opposite. When you really put yourself out there, a lot of the times your family might be confused and you might have to explain things to them and sit them down and tell them your story and why. But if your family loves you and they see the passion and the happiness on your face and you're explaining your what you want to do and your goals and your dreams, then damn sure they're gonna be happy for you.
I mean, was there had Christina an idea what she wanted to do when she grew up? What was the original plan?
The original plan was to be a surgeon. I was always interested in science growing up, something I did really well at, and I thought that, I wanna be a doctor. I'm gonna be successful, I'm gonna make a crap ton of money, I'm gonna help people are gonna come to me because they need me, um, and I'll be interested at the same time. And it was probably when I got to university and I really started to, like, get down into it that I started to realize, like, this isn't really what's gonna make me happy. I was interested, don't get me wrong, for sure, but interested in, long-term happiness are 2 totally different things, and I really started to realize that when I, interned. I spent some time in the operating room just watching surgeons and watching surgeries, and it was really, really cool, and I did that with my career afterwards. I worked in the operating room as well, um, and I loved the surgery side of things, but someone said to me once, like, look at the person above of you. Like, look at the person, your manager, your boss, their boss, and look at their life and do you want it? And when I looked at that and I thought, I was like, I don't want their lifestyle. Like, I don't actually want that. The idea of it sounds great, but when it come down to actually looking at them and like knowing them and knowing their life, their daily, 9 to 5 or 7 to 12 or midnight, whatever it may be, like regardless of the hours or times, when I really broke it down and I listened to that person and like, do I want their life? I was like, I don't want their life. And that's when I really started to like have that realization that this isn't what you want. Like it really isn't. And so that's when everything kind of started to turn. And I think it's important to look at, the person above you. Because if you don't want to be there, then you're definitely not on the right path.
Oh, so true. And especially through that time when maybe you don't necessarily know what you do. And I mean,
Mhm.
is there doctors, surgeons, or that in your family or in your circle, or are there other people? Where did that idea come from?
I have some like nursing family in my circle. So when I was younger, like I would just follow them and I just always found like human anatomy super interesting. Um, there's a lot to learn. It's our bodies are crazy, the things that it can do, and medicine now is wild for what they're able to accomplish. So I was always interested in it, but I think I didn't separate interest from passion. And I think that's kind of where um, I started to realize there was a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, I find it's interesting how this sort of different ikigai process and all that, how you can be good at something but actually mean doesn't necessarily mean that's your passion, and
Yep.
but that follows us all the way through childhood, isn't it? It's like, well, that would be good, or you could have a great career and all this, and it's like, but yeah, but what's your passion, and
Hmm.
I don't know, it's hard to know. Is that the schooling system? Is that just that's what's being a young person is just you got to search and you got to try, or I don't know. I'm not quite clear as to what the right answer
Yeah,
is.
I'm on the same page. I'm not really clear what the right answer is because I think you're kind of forced at such a young age, like 18, 17, 18, going into, university, being like, what do you want to do with your whole life right now? Like, I didn't know who the heck I was at 18. I don't think
Sure.
anyone does, and I think that's the problem. But at the same time, like, you kind of have to find a focus.
Hmm.
And whether it's the schooling system or not, I think that maybe enforcing the need for taking, classes or experiences outside of whatever you believe your interest is important. And I think that that's something with the American school systems that really could use some work is that, make people, regardless of what they want to do, make them take a business class, make them take a class and, in these different sectors because something might spark your interest and you might be able to change, when you're younger and not have to go through that battle of you think you want to do it and you graduate and then you're like, okay, now I have to go do it and I don't want to. Like there could be so much time saved in that.
Mm.
So I don't know if it's the school system per se or just a way of life that you have to kind of navigate and figure out on your own. I think might be a combo of the two, but I think it's hard at 18 to be like, I want to do this for the rest of my entire life.
I'm just thinking there. I mean, it's quite a gift even for you to go through the process and actually decide this is not the right thing. I mean, that takes strength, it takes confidence to do that, and especially if you can't say, I don't want to do this because I want to do that. Even if you just go, well, I know this bit's not right, and maybe don't know what the other bit is. That's ballsy. I think is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was. I graduated university with a degree to go to med school. And I, worked my butt off those 4 years to get that done. And then it was after graduation that I was like, I don't want this. Like,
Mm,
and it was terrifying to say that out loud. It was terrifying because you feel like if you don't want it, then maybe it's because you failed. And I think that's a bad misconception that people might have is like, just because you don't want to do anything anymore or you don't like it doesn't mean you failed at it. It just means that there's something better for you. Um, so I think getting that through my head was something that took some time to do. I mean, I pretty much knew my third year of university I didn't want to do it anymore, but I just like pushed down that feeling and I was like, if you just work hard and you just do it, you'll be happy. And like, fast forward a year later, I graduated, and I was like, "No, well, I wish I would have looked back and realized that that wasn't making me happy." But it all is a part of my journey now, led me to where I am. So I'm appreciative of it all. But I think there is some time where we have to kind of just like suck it up, be confident, and just say, like, this isn't for me. And it doesn't mean you fail. It just means you're going to find something you're a hell of a lot better at
mm.
and makes you happy. So I think that there's like that misconception between like choosing not to do something and being a failure at it or just choosing to do something else and being happier at it.
Yeah, that's it. It's good is the foundation work for great. It's kind of going, it's good, but that's the problem. It's a bit like something that's okay or interesting. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of it's dangerous in that it's close enough that you might just get okay with it. But the problem
Mhm.
is you sort of go, yeah, but is this a lifetime you're sort of willing to do? And I congratulate anyone that actually has the strength to stand up, and especially if people go, well, it's a very prestigious degree, or you've done
Mhm.
so well, and you've done all this, and there's a lot of emotion and pride and everything else that sort of shakes up along with it, and then to have the strength to stand up and whatever, it doesn't matter whether you're 18 or 80, it doesn't matter. Have the strength to do that. I take my hat off to anyone that does that. It's
And I can put it takes a lot,
mm,
but I think like I said earlier, we can rewrite our story 10,000 times. There's no limit on the amount of chapters we can put in our life story. So I think that knowing that we have the ability to do that at any time is something that's highly valuable. It doesn't matter if you're, like you said, 18, deciding to rewrite your story, 25, or you're 45. Like, if you want to change it, you do it. Like, the world is changing now. We're not in a world where you work a job at a company for 30 years, same place, and then you retire. It's not the way it's going anymore. People are venturing online, people are having different businesses, and there's so much amazingness in all of that. There's so much opportunity out there. So I think that the idea of sticking in one place forever is kind of going to the wayside. I think that, even within people who stay within their career, like a lot of people don't stay with the same company. They move companies, they, change roles.
mm,
And whether you might still be in marketing, you're changing a role, you're writing a different story each time. You're gaining a new experience, a whole different, group of people you work with, a different coworkers, a different office, a different line of work. So whether it's within your own, degree or sector area of expertise, or you start a whole new business or go a completely different direction, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't think it matters as long as, you're doing something that makes you happy. You can write that story. I was going to go to med school and now I'm, teaching people how to be a digital nomad. It can't be more different. But it makes me who I am, and I'm very happy that I decided to take the shift because I don't want to look back and be like, I always had this dream, but I didn't do it because I was, afraid of people said, or I was afraid of taking a new start. I think when you push yourself out of that comfort zone, you take that new start, you tend to realize that your passion and drive is tenfold because you want to make this dream that you've always had actually work.
Absolutely. It's just as you're speaking, I just thinking. I mean, I suppose from my own father, he was a 40-year career man, and that was with like
Mhm.
one company that they evolved and companies sort of changed and all the
Mhm.
rest, but that was like 40 years. So my generation there, and it's kind of changing, but then the next generation is coming along, and it is this digital nomad, and it's like you either work for yourself or it's just a completely
Mhm.
different in a fairly short period of time.
Yeah.
um do you think for the right, it's all happening for the right reasons? Do you think it's genuine, or do you think it's corporate led, if you like?
I think it's depends. I would say
Mm,
for most, I think it's genuine. I think that there is opportunity now, and I think we're at a time now in the world where people are starting to realize that they can do things for themselves. That there is more opportunity out there, and I think with the growth of the internet and social media and all these apps and different things you can do, the opportunities, are just increasing. And I think that there is a genuine ability to change your path because of all these opportunities that are out there. And I think that now, especially with the way the world is with Corona, like so many companies, I mean, mostly all of them, had to go remote. Everyone had to learn how to work from home. So you're still able to do your job, and now you're doing it from home. So why can't you now still able to do your job and do it from a new place in a new city? You know, there's nothing there's a lot of companies I think that are starting to realize that they don't need to have that office space, that they can still accomplish the same thing with people being home. And I think that there is great opportunity in that because you can start to develop a life that you want to live in a surrounding you want to be in because you're not taking your commute to the office anymore. I mean, a lot of people I know who worked from home, like, had to get a new routine, had to change things, and it's a whole new opportunity to figure out how you want to work and how you want to live. You know, if you wanna work from home and you wanna do it in Barcelona and you could still get your work done, who says you can't? If a company can go from an office to you working online and be completely successful, why can't they be from you working online in your home versus working online where you wanna live? So I think the world is changing, there's so much opportunity in that I think it's an amazing time for people to really like sit down and be like, all right, what do I want? Like, where do I want to go? Because the world is endless. Jobs with the internet are endless. You can be your own boss, whatever you feel really just like lights that fire in you. But I think finding that out and now's the time to do it. We have the time on our hands to actually figure it out. So I think that the world is changing and whether it's corporate changes or just new business changes, there's no reason that you can't change what your path is or what your like life goal is if it's towards leading towards your passion.
what's your way of, I mean, how do you understand your own passions or your goals or your wants? I mean, what is there a process for you?
I went through a lot of like just processing information and all that stuff when I was traveling. And I think that I always knew that travel was big for me. I wasn't just somebody who wanted to go on vacation. Like I would sit at work and get in trouble for like being on my computer researching different like places I go. Like it was just a constant on my mind. I'm a visual person, so I would sit there and daydream and just like picture a whole fantasy life. And I think I started to realize like I'm constantly like thinking about that fantasy and not thinking about what I'm doing in the moment. And I had to figure out a way to stop doing that. And the only way to stop doing that was to start pursuing that fantasy, start living that life. Um, so I think for me, it was just really like figuring out that that was something I was passionate about because it really made me happy. It struck that nerve in me that would make me smile wider and laugh harder, like in any
Mm,
experience I was doing, because I was doing it with something I love to do. So I think it's really just like digging deep. I also took a journey through becoming an accredited coach, and I really had to kind of like dig deep, work through things that scared me, work through fears and maybe some inner struggles I had. And I think the combination of finding my passion, also working through all of my own personal setbacks and barriers was really, really beneficial because it kind of opened doors that within myself that I didn't realize I had.
It's interesting you talk about sort of being quite visual, but your language I'm finding is quite kinesthetic. You're very feeling, very touching, very doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I definitely am very kinesthetic in how I express things and what I feel like in self. I think that I'm also very visionary in the fact that I like will I know what I want my life to look like and I have a
Mm,
picture of it and I can envision everything for the next like 2 months of what it's going to look like and I have this dream. So I think it's a good combo of the two though because I think it's important to feel things and know what those feelings why they're important to you and how they make you react addition to being able to visualize like what you actually want to have.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's that, as you say, the visualizing also comes into it's a feeling, right? You gotta,
Mhm,
and that's I suppose when you are thinking about your goals, whether it is if you can feel that, what it smells like, what it tastes like, what it touches, and
mhm,
that comes through feeling sense as opposed to the sort of standard visual. If you want to
mhm.
teach me, then show me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's no, it's awesome to have that. That I mean, and in terms then, I mean, I mean, your own practice? I mean, do you tend to do you follow anyone? Do you go through meditation? What's your process? I mean, how do you learn?
Yeah, so I love to meditate in the morning and I like to reflect. So honestly, when I wake up, like I have a journal and it ask me what I'm grateful for the day, what I want to accomplish. And then at the end of the day, I have to say what I did best today. And it's all about things that look at your day in a positive light. And I think that sometimes we can get lost in being like, oh, I didn't get that done today. Oh, I didn't get that. But like if you look and be like, I got this, and done. And that's working towards that other goal. Like, and if you break it down and start being appreciating like gratitude towards what you did do for the day or things that did happen to you, that you can bring a different like perspective into how you view your mornings even. Um, but I love to meditate and just do affirmations and understand that I am powerful and I am passionate and I am confident in what I have to offer people. And that's because of the vision that I have and what I want to achieve and everything that I feel about it. So I think that having that morning kind of routine for me is super important because it just starts my day off right and it ends my day right. Because everything in between can go haywire. But if I have a routine where I know I'm starting my morning in a good mental state and I'm ending my night no matter what happens in a good mental state by finding the good in the day, that it helps a lot with my trajectory on how like I accomplish things.
Mm. So yeah, it's a beautiful way to do it. To sort of the gratitude and the meditating and sort of unleashing your inner imagination too, right? It's quite something.
Yep.
You
And
know.
even growing up, like my mother would always be like, "Well, what are you thankful for the day?" And I'd be like, "Stop! Like, I don't want to stop." And then I realized as I got older, like, she was right the whole time. Like, if you really just focus on what you're like grateful for and what you're thankful for, even if it's a small thing of the day, you'll see a huge shift in your perspective and what you believe your day has been.
Mm. No, no, it's so true. And talk to us about sort of heroes or inspirational people in your life. I mean, who stands out for you?
I would say in my life, a lot of it tends to lean back towards my family. Um, I grew up and my mom is a single mom and she worked really hard to accomplish things. And I think kind of instilled a huge value in the fact that you can be your own hero in a sense. You can live a life that you think you need to and you accomplish all of you want to if you just like really figure out what makes you happy and you go for it. Because I think
Mm.
that knowing you could support yourself and having that just feeling that you can be all you can be and knowing that that is true is I think very important.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah, it's so. Do you find, are you able to then are you able to connect with people? Do you sense people, and can you pick up on their energy?
Yeah, so I think I'm able to very much read a situation and read people, which is good. I am the type of person to where when I get into conversation or I meet people, I tend to like kind of go deep fast. um, I love to know what makes a person tick. I love to know why they believe things. So it could be from the simplest of questions that I would be like, well, is there something that happened in your life that made you think that? Like, what's going on? Like, I love to learn from people. And I think, like we said earlier, one of my like things that draws me to people is just like learning about them and learning all these new things. I think you can experience so much when you start to kind of get past the surface stuff. And I do think I struggle with people who want to stay on a surface level because the surface is what you this like picture you put out to the world, but it's not like really deep down who I would say not who you're not, but like
Mm,
there's a more extensive version of you that people tend to hold back, I think, to just brace themselves from any judgment. So you put out this person of yourself, just like the title of a book, and inside is everything you actually want to read and all the information you want to get. So I think like getting past the surface level is something like I really enjoy doing with people.
mm. And would you consider yourself religious or spiritual? Where do you sit in that side?
So I grew up Catholic.
Mm,
My family's very Catholic, so they're very religious. I definitely think that the more I've traveled, the more I've learned. I've really grown to appreciate different religions. I think that they all have an overall idea of being a good person and giving back. Um, so I wouldn't say that I would say I lean more towards a spiritual religion combination because I appreciate all of the religions in different aspects and what they have to offer. But I think at the end of the day, like they're all instilling good values and morals in people. And that's the most important aspect. So I think I do have like a religious and spiritual combination. Um, Not really honed in on one per se, but appreciating them all because I do believe that they all have a wonderful and great message to give out to people.
yeah, it's always interesting there with, I mean, spiritual side or whatever, it's I don't know. I suppose through this whole process and through the interview process, I've found myself leaning more and sort of understanding more, being more open, I should say, maybe to
Mm,
sort of what's out there as well, and I think, as you say, the practice of gratitude and spirit and just sort of, yeah, gratitude really, I suppose, and universal beliefs as well all start to come into play. So the
mm.
world gets smaller.
Yeah, and I think there definitely is like a higher power, um, and there is a purpose that, we have to live in believing in this higher power. What that is, I think, is completely subjective to the person, for what they believe. But there's different aspects of religions that I just find fascinating. Um, you know, Jesus in the Catholic, he was came here to kind of teach the people, how to live and how to appreciate others and how to be nice to others and all that. And Buddhism is solely about really like it comes down to being a good human, giving back to the world. And all of them kind of, I feel like, play into each other. They have different rules or guidelines or gods or whatever. But at the end of the day, like it's instilling those values and morals in you to give back to the world, to be a better person, to then just create this enormous light for people to kind of just live a purposeful and passionate life.
Curious, a while ago, I mean, you talked about, two things. You're saying you had a very clear vision of where you wanted to go, but then on maybe it's on the corporate side, you talked about, sort of 5-year goals just didn't really want to happen. So there's a bit of a change there, but is it perspective?
I think it's a perspective change. I think that we all have a goal for like 5 years from now. I have a goal of where I want to, what I want to achieve. But I think that when you're like in the corporate sense, that 5-year structure is, like I said, very structured. It is in 6 months, I want this, in this, I want that. And if I climb this ladder and keep taking every single step, I'll get to the top and then like all will be good. And I think that for me, one of my biggest things is like adaptability and resilience. And if you can understand that the world's going to throw you curveballs, it's going to happen. If you can understand that and adapt to it, then you can structure a plan. Like I said, the perspective change. You can structure a plan towards leading those goals that might change, but is able to adapt to it. Whereas I feel like in the corporate side, it's very like like very structured and rigorous type way you look at things instead of being adaptable to what's happening to you. When someone in corporate America loses their job, it's like, oh my God, the world ends because that 5-year plan has just crumbled. Whereas like when you start to kind of have a different perspective and you're, working for yourself or working on your own dream or living that nomadic life, I can have a dream of 5 years living here and my company being XYZ. And then, things might curveballs might change, but my goal of my company, what I want to do will still be there. I'll just shift my path on how I get there. So I think it's just a big perspective change and understanding that life isn't perfect. Life is going to have hard moments. They're going to have great moments. There's going to be moments that we're going to want to pull our hair out and not know what we're doing or what's going to happen. But if we can just be adaptable and resilient and, find the better outcome and the beneficial, outlook of it all, then we'll be a lot better towards achieving that, goal in our head instead of like this structured way of looking at everything.
Hmm. No, it's a great way to it's as you say to see that and understand it. And what then really? Just curious. I mean, what's for you? What would be? I always, people get hung up on the idea, but like a guilty pleasure for you. Then what's a non-guilty pleasure? Let's put it that way. What do you really enjoy to do then?
Um, I think I generally just enjoy like seeing new places in the I mean, granted, that's on a bigger scale, like seeing new places in the world and exploring.
Hmm.
I also genuinely love to like read a good book and like just absorb someone else's story or someone else's message. Um, and I think it's little things like that that, make us who we are, and in the same sense, there's so many different facets, I think, of who we are that contribute to this one person. So like I can sit home and like read a good book and be so happy. And I could also go and be social and go sit at a bar and watch, football with my friends and enjoy it and not be a huge part of who I am as well, because I'm a very social person. But I think it's kind of we can juggle both. We don't have to be like this one big social butterfly or this one person likes to be by themselves. I think we can my pleasure kind of lies in both, and kind of juggling the two because everyone needs their space, away from people or to do their own thing. Whether that's I'll go sit on the beach sometimes and just like put my music in and just sit there and like just embrace that moment. And there's other times where I want to go hang out with my friends and like go have a really fun time and create
Hmm.
some great memories. Like, so I think it's kind of a combo of the two for me.
I think you may have answered the question, but I was going to say, do you have a place where you go to get grounded or get inspired or sort of really just to connect back?
It's usually always the ocean.
Okay.
I grew up in a beach town, so the ocean just has this very grounding feeling for me. It
Hmm.
kind of the ocean's a powerful place. It's vast. It covers most of our world, and for me, no matter where I am, if I'm sitting on that beach and I'm by the ocean, it just seems to like bring a very calming sense to me. And I tend to gravitate towards places that do have the ocean or water near them. Um, I mean, I love everywhere, but I tend to find a lot of calmness in those type of places.
Is it on the is it the interface between the land and the sea, or is it actually in the water or on the water? Are you clear?
I think it's really like when I'm on the beach and staring at the water,
Okay.
and there's this like sereneness that comes with the ocean meeting land.
Hmm.
Um, and that the two meet. And I mean, basically, the ocean is huge. And for me, it's like that water is constantly circling the whole world. The beach stays still. And it's like this new wave every time. Like a wave is a new rush of water. And the water over years or time is coming from different places, but the beach is always constant. So it's like this serenity that comes with, you know, having a grounding place, but welcoming like all this newness with every wave that comes from the ocean.
Mm. No, it's funny, and well, two things. When I talk about guilty pleasures,
Mhm.
I get a lot of people going ice cream or chocolate. That's a very common answer.
Yep.
but, but in terms of grounding, I suppose it's I don't know why that the ocean or some variant of that is such a I don't know, humans are drawn to it. I don't know why. I
Mhm.
can't quite figure it out, or what is it? Is the power? Is it the unknown? Is it, as you say, the fluid movement? Is it what is it? I don't know. I'm baffled by it, really. In
Yeah,
a
I think
po-
it's different, like person to person, really.
mm,
For me, I think it's just like that, like fluidness of the ocean just comes and brings, a newness every single second, but that the beach can still stay constant. And the beach isn't going to change. I mean, the beach is the beach. It's a couple years might look different because of erosion or whatever, but it's like a human. Like this, all this newness can come, and you could still remain who you truly are down deep down, but embrace everything that comes to you. Over time, you might change a little bit because your perspective changes or your experience changes, but like who you are as a core is still exactly the same. You're just
mm,
welcoming all this new experiences into your life.
mm. No, it's yeah, I love it. There's something very special about it. It really is.
100% agree.
Talk to us then about, I mean, your strengths to sort of help people, and in that sort of digital nomad side, and you mentioned specifically female. Can you sort of put a bit of perspective on that for us as well?
Yeah. So it's female entrepreneurs. I just feel like I can resonate well with them. I took the leap. I took the chance to change my life, and I couldn't be happier by any means. Um, I know what it's like to go through those struggles, and I know what it's like to feel pressure. I'm 27, so I get the pressure of when am I going to settle down, or when am I going to get married, or when am I going to do that, and like just knowing all the struggles that you might go through as a woman entrepreneur trying to accomplish these dreams is something that I
Mm,
resonate with, and I feel like I'd be able to help someone work through. So from all of my coaching as well, like just being able to help them work through all their fears. There's a lot of things that we believe that set us back, but they're really just belief. They're exactly that, just a belief. Um, so being able to overcome those fears, overcome those beliefs, and then take the actual like actionable steps to start working towards that lifestyle. And I think with my travels, I've had a lot of experience figuring things out, and I can help someone and guide them through all of that, through what I've been through and through what I understand, as well as just opening their perspective to how they can shift their mindset and reframe everything that they're afraid of to make it an asset and to, you know, putting that passion and drive towards actually achieving their goals.
mm. No, it's sort of, and in that sort of that teaching process then of helping people to reach that. I mean, talk us through, because you mentioned there about your 12-week program, and taking
Mhm.
that through. Who is that specifically going to bring most value to, and sort of talk us through why they would want to come on it.
Yeah, so I think that it brings the most value to the women who kind of always dreamed about a different lifestyle, dreamed about living somewhere else, dreamed about, achieving this life of moving to a new country or just being able to pick up when they want, whether it's, within their own country, but having that freedom. And I think that's what it really comes down to is having the ability to have the freedom to live the life you want to live. So through the 12-week program, I'm able to help them kind of define exactly what that freedom is to them and why it's important and what it means. And then working with them to create a completely bespoke, program for them that's curated towards achieving those goals and what they want to do, regardless of where they want to live, when they want to go, but really giving them the confidence, the tools, and the values to be able to achieve that goal at the end. So by the end, they could say, I was a freelancer. I was a graphic designer online. I was working from home. I decided that, this life wasn't really one that gave me adventure, excitement, or I've just always longed. My soul just craved to go somewhere else and just spend a month in Barcelona or spend a month in Lisbon. And you're like, okay, now let's figure out what's stopping you, like what's holding you back, and really breaking those down and then giving them all the confidence and the tools to overcome them, as well as helping them with the logistics of, let's figure out your visa for you. Let's get your accommodation. Where's the best neighborhoods for a digital nomad? Where's a good networking space for you? Where can we get you in meetups so you can meet other digital nomads, and kind of creating this whole experience for them? Because at the end of the day, like, the coaching, it's not just, oh, I meet with you once a week and I do whatever. It's a full blown like experience that I want to be with you, because I'm already living the digital in my life. I'm already picking up and doing it. Like for me, helping someone else do that is more than just a financial gain. It's really just having someone else be able to experience the life that I'm already so happy to live.
Oh, it is so important, isn't it? I mean, that's the thing, and you are
Mhm.
living and doing. So it sort of makes sense that it would be on a digital site, and that's what I was going to say. It doesn't matter where you're in the world, right? Because to
Mhm.
be a
Yeah.
digital nomad, there's no better place to start than on the likes of sitting down with yourself and going, well, virtually sitting down with yourself, I should
Yep.
say. And going through that makes a lot of sense. It's great to see. It's
100%. And everyone has different goals for like what that digital life looks like for them. So there is no structure for what is, the life in which you need to live. The whole point of being a digital nomad is that you have the freedom to live how you want to live.
mm,
You have the freedom to choose your location. It might be for a year, it might be for 3 years, it might be for a month, but you have the ability to, uproot yourself and kind of experience life on a whole new level, because you're not just going there to vacation for a week and then go home. Like, it becomes your new home, but like, your new home is somewhere you've always dreamed of going, or your new home could just be yourself. It could be you, like being, knowing that when you have your true self, you are home, and then wherever you go is just, in addition to that, an extra piece, that helps you grow. So I think it's just being able to kind of uproot yourself and live a life of freedom that is, I think, is like the most beneficial thing.
I love that. I mean, yeah, it's great. And like you can see why, and especially from a female perspective as well, because it's a different set of experiences, right? It's traveling
Mhm.
and it just is different. And there's no rights, there's no wrongs there. To celebrate both. Why not? Makes sense.
100%. And traveling as a female is different than
Mm,
traveling as a male, for
mm.
sure. Um, so there's a lot of fears or setbacks that people think come with it. So it's just really working through all those, because like I said before, there's way more good in the world and way more good in these places than I think sometimes people believe with like headlines or things that they can read in the news.
No, cool, absolutely. So tell us in one or two words, what's your fire in the belly then?
Adventure is probably the biggest one. Um, Adventure and authenticity, and they both kind of lead back to the same. Those are my two that I really hold strong on, because when I'm able to be authentic to who I am and what I want to do and my goals and dreams, then I can live the adventure that comes with that. And then it kind of just all circles back to, living the life you always craved. I think that I don't want to be a person who longs for more anymore. I don't want to be someone who, like, the soul's always just like waiting for a moment to do something that I want to accomplish. It's, the world is our oyster, and I want to be able to just kind of experience it, in every realm of the sense. And so those two, I think, are really the words that just create that fire in me. So when I can be myself and I can adventure, then I'm really living my truth.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that.
Of course.
So tell us, where can people find you, track you down, connect with you?
Yes, so they can find me on Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram, my handle is Christina with two A's and then Davis, Davis. So you can find me there, and you can also find me on Facebook. My Facebook is facebook.com/christina.davis.coach. So you can find me there. You can kind of see my story. You can reach out to me, and we can speak, because I think that there's a lot of value in just talking to someone who's kind of, whether it's three steps ahead of you, a step ahead of you, a year ahead of you, whatever it is, like there's value to learn from everyone. And I'm definitely open to speaking to people and helping them kind of live the life that I'm so lucky to be able to live now.
Love it. Any final words?
I want to thank you, first of all, for having me on. I think being able to get down and really tell your story is something that's extremely powerful. And I just want people to know that life is way too short to live a way that we feel society tells us to. The world is changing. I mean, who knew that 2020 was going to be what it is? We can't expect to live a certain way that doesn't make us happy, because at the end of the day, it's our life, it's all that really matters. So if you're happy down to your core, then you're really following your own path.
Love it. Christina, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we look
Yeah,
forward to
thanks for
hearing,
having me.
see where you get to.
Thanks.